let's see here. I said I wasn't going to put the questions up, and I can question all that. I'm not, but I am doing this. So we talked about John Updike's A&P a few minutes ago in the online version of the class, and for those who participated, you got extra points. But if you didn't get an F. That was the purpose of the discussion was to review and to help improve your grades. So, question one we talked about was, why did Sammy refer to people as sheep? And we said that sheep are referred to some of the dumbest animals on the planet. They need a shepherd. And so he saw the customers as people mumbling around the store, fumbling, fidgeting, trying to remember their list and not thinking. They're just in there wandering. So that's why we refer to as sheep. Sammy was our narrator, and we said that we didn't find out who Sammy was until the very end of the story on page, I think it was 160. Let me see. I think I said, to 164. I don't know, but we found out at the end of the story when, page 165, line 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the description of the center of the town. We found out Sammy's name when he quits. He says his name, was on the apron, sewed into the apron. And so we had never heard the narrator referred to as Sammy until we get to the end of the story. And then we talked about, let's see here. The author uses, John Updike, who is our author, he uses descriptive mode. He uses descriptive mode to write the story. When you get a chance to see every character's flaw, he had several terms, and we reviewed all those terms that, like chunky girl, chubby face, soft looking can, two of the smoothest scoops of vanilla, two crescents of white. We talk about her can. We also, let's see here. Oh, when he described Queen, she was striking and attractive. Okay, and we talked about what were the names of the girls in the story. We talked about why did he use weight to describe these women. And at first we talked about when the story opens, in our exposition, you recall, we get all the background information, where the story takes place, which is A&P. But he also gives us a very physical location of where the story takes place. That was on the last page, line 10. And then, let's see what else. Now, I'm not going through everything. I'm just trying to give a quick recap. So if you were online today, you saw that. But you can read the story because everybody was assigned a story. We talked about, and it was like two parts of the story. They have the first part where the girls come in in their two-piece bathing suits and they're making a scene. The guys in the store are like, oh my God, and we realized that we knew what everybody was because our narrator was in lane number 3, checkout number 3 spot. And once we find out, each of the girls and their characteristics, then part 2 comes in where they're back. And they come in because they're looking for some herring and some sour cream. And they're sashaying in. And then all of a sudden we meet the store manager. And the store manager comes in and we have the climax of the story. And I went over that in class, but I know you'll be able to tell the climax of the story because you're going to read it, right? We know that things heat up when he and the manager and one of the girls, the main girl, Queen, who transitions to Queenie, we know that there's a problem. He's talking to her, telling her she needs to cover up. And then she explains why she didn't need to cover up. And so it escalates. And right then, our narrator makes a decision. And then, we have the falling of the action, right? We know the story is told, too, from whose point of view? The narrator's point of view. He knows everything. There's a word for that. He knows everything. And once this happens, this interaction happens, then our narrator has to make a tough decision. He makes his choices. He says, hey, it's the summer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk off into greatness. Um, we know that this is a big deal. When the manager starts talking, everybody's like, hey, this is a small town. We only have like two banks, a church, some real estate offices, and we're like not we're not in Boston. We're north of Boston, and so this town is not used to that. By the way, the manager was even a Sunday school teacher, so that tells you about why his tone was so adamant about the girls putting on clothes. This is a small town. So some of the people in the town hadn't seen the beach in about 20 years. Anyway, the story was funny. I enjoyed it. As I said to the students during the online time, my first job was a cashier at Troy's grocery store, and we had an A&P in Winfield, Louisiana, and so I know about the A&P grocery store, and I was 16, and our narrator was 19, and his good friend Stokey, who was 20 and already married, he's like, "Guy, you'll never be the manager of the A&P." I could identify with all that because at 16, that was my first job. It was hot in the summer. I got it in the summer, like most typical 16-year-olds get your first job. But we all had our lines. We used to front and face, so I could relate to the story. I loved how John Updike just made the characters. He was raunchy, but a little classy. He didn't say they're butt, but he said they're soft-looking can. He even described Queen's breast as the smoothest 2 scoops of vanilla he had seen. So our author, John Updike, he used to work for Lampoon magazine. He used to write for them. So you can tell some of this humor. And the movie Animal House was based off of the Lampoon magazine. So it was good satire, funny. This story was a bit of everything. So if you missed the review today, this is not the everything we talked about. This is a simple recap. So you can see some of the questions that I may ask on the test. The test is on Saturday. It will be multiple choice. There will be some true and false. So when you are reading and reviewing your notes, make sure you look at things. Make sure you review climax, ball in action, point of view. I just want to make sure I put all this out there for those who didn't join us. Make sure you are able to recognize some of the descriptive terms that were used and why. Oh, and I love when he got ready to quit. He uses this descriptive thing like he punched the button on the cash register like, people, he was out. I love that. All right, so I hope everybody have a good weekend. I hope you review the story you were already supposed to read, John Updike's A&P. And again, the test will be on Saturday. I hope this review helps.